श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। So the growth is relative, which is an ongoing process, and there's a growth, there's a culmination for growth, after which there is no more pressure to grow, no more a need to do anything. My whole life has been an attempt to become different from myself. And relaxing is when you can just be yourself. I hope you get a window into it when in the morning you sit for a few minutes and just be yourself. No pressure. So you can see what causes the need to become. That you don't feel comfortable being just you are, so you want something to change. But then meditation is just a small window. You're sitting here, you're not worried about all the things. So how do you extend that kind of an acceptance when you're in the waking world, when you're interacting with people? Things are not acceptable because I don't see that it's necessarily the way it should be. In fact, I think it can be different. Unless I can see a clear reason for something, this thinking mind cannot accept it because it's not logical enough. And I think everything should be logical. It is logical actually, if you can see the whole causal chain. So let's say, we have another Gurukulam in near Coimbatore. It's a place called Anaikatti. So it's about 30 kilometers from the city. And it's in a forest. Now somebody writes to the Gurukulam, sends an email. I'm planning to come on this day. Do you have some accommodation for me? They send all this. They sent it. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, no response. So the person who is sending, and he has sent some, let's say he sent a sizable amount of donation as well, okay? And is quite upset. What kind of people are they? They don't even respond to a mail. When you try to call them, nobody seems to pick up. I don't even get the line through. Whenever I pick up, it says, the person you're calling is away. What's going on? So you're livid. You come to the Gurukulam, you want to take out your anger on people. And then when you come in, you find out that as soon as you go inside, your telephone stops working. Not your mistake, okay? You see, there is no signal. You knew only BSNL works in Anaikatti. So you had a BSNL SIM card. And still, there is no signal, right? And then you go to the office and try to say, what's going on? And they say, sir, there has been no internet for the last 1 week. What happens to your anger? What happened to it? You had so much of anger and angst. You judged so many things, and you brought all the history back. Last time also didn't respond. Before that also didn't do this. Every time they mess up. You have the whole build-up. And how long does it take for it to all just melt away? What caused it to melt away? That's what I want you to pay attention to. Nothing changed. You still didn't get your response. Nobody acknowledged your call. But now you know that the internet and the phones have been down for the last 1 week. So what can anybody do about it? You accept it. Why did you accept it now? Because you saw that whatever happened is reasonable. It's not something that you need to fight. Can you see this in everything that happens in life? No. Swamiji, not true. This is so. But internet was up. Phone was up. Still the person didn't respond to me. Then Swamiji? Then what? Somebody just forgot. Is it possible or not? Or you have situation like this. Somebody sent an email. It is sitting in the draft still. They thought they sent it. They compose the whole mail and they'll show you. See, it's here. The whole response here. I forgot. What will you do again? You'll say, okay, please next time be a little more cautious. Or if you can't see reason, you will say, how could you be so careless, irresponsible? Isn't it your responsibility to check it out? And the person doesn't even know too much of English, she doesn't respond. Then the person comes to a Swami and says, you need to do something about this. Yeah. True, we need to do something about it. But the fact is, first, anybody can make a mistake. Number two, do you know the person who is working on this, what's their background? They are not super educated like you. They are not people who run a corporate show. They have 10 things to do. They do their best. You find me a better person to staff the place. They can't. So I'm saying there's a person, or sometimes the person who regularly does the work is away for a week. Somebody else has taken that desk. They don't do everything correctly. I'm saying until you see there's a reason, you can't accept. Right? So you have certain emotional issues. And nowadays what modern thinking is, that's an illness. So you need to go to a doctor. Correct. So you go to a psychologist or a counselor and you talk to them. The meter starts running. You have a metered connection. Means as you talk, you pay for it because they're listening to you. And what will they tell you after that? Yeah, the way you feel is correct. It's valid. Why is it valid? Because given what your mother did, that you feel this way is natural. It's not your mistake. That you feel, I'm not good enough, you feel I'm a failure in life. This is all not your mistake. You're okay. You're okay. The problem is your parents. Because they kept telling you in the beginning, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. You don't know anything. Look at your sister, how well she does everything. You are an idiot. What happened in your mind? I am an idiot. And that you can't accept you're an idiot. So you're resisting. Now they say, it's not your problem. This is what your parent did to you. So now who is to blame? Not you. So that self-blaming goes to an extent. You get validated. You feel, I am okay. The main thing is what? The person wants you to make you feel, I am okay. Right? But where is the blame shifted now? To the parent. So you go back and yell at your parent. Because of you I am what I am. right? Now suppose the parent says, okay, look, I didn't know any better. I thought I will help you. By telling you you're an idiot, I thought you will, you will start trying to be like your sister, who's very good. But the parent said, okay, look, I think what you say is correct. Can you also take me to your doctor? So she was taken to the same person, and now the person talked to her for a while and then said what? You're okay. You didn't do anything wrong. Because this is how your parents taught you how to raise you. This is how they raised you. And you became somebody because your dad kept telling you you're an idiot, you're an idiot, you're an idiot. So you thought the same will work for your daughter. It didn't work. Not your mistake. What do you want me to do next? Take the grandmother to the counselor? Guess what he will say? She is also okay. Now you tell me, where do you stop the blame game? How far are you going to go? You have to go to the first father and the first mother. Who is the first father? Who is the first mother? Who is the first man? Who is the first tree? Everything is beginningless. It's cyclic. So what do you say is first? We say the cause of all causes. The uncaused cause is the cause of everything. That is Ishvara. You understand the implication of a cause of all causes. It's not just there's some cause-effect relationship. Every person's behavior is governed by their background. Every behavior. And that background includes your parentage, the culture where you lived in, the value that the society around you valued. I mean, people who have one culture at home and one outside, which is very typical for an immigrant. You travel from here. You traveled because you got better opportunities. You said, okay, Australia is a great place to go. Let me go immigrate there and stay. Or Canada or America, US. You go there. Then what happens? You have a family. Child is born. Your value system is based on your background, your culture. And you tell this is how you should be. Right? But the world outside is very different. The child already feels out of place actually. Because it looks different from other children. It eats things, other children will eat in the school. McDonald's will deliver something perhaps. But you say, we are vegetarians. You don't eat all that stuff, okay? You take this. Child doesn't understand what vegetarian means really. You give it something. It takes there. And all other children are different or depend on where you live, okay? But I'm saying, assuming you're in a place where you're one Indian there, what will you find? The child doesn't know. And at home, one value. At home, you talk, your parents say, if we talk in English at home, how will you teach the mother tongue? So you talk in your own mother tongue at home. In outside, it has to talk English. It figures out. But I'm saying, there is so much of a difference between and as they grow up, the American parent will have a different attitude to the children. The Indian parent has a very different attitude because of the background. So the children are maladjusted. Some kids told me once that mom sends us lunch to school every day. And a lot of North Indian cooking especially involves, invariably almost, they will put some onion, some garlic and some garam masala, they'll put all this. And when you open your lunch box, it announces to everybody, I am here. And the other kid says, this fellow's lunch stinks. What are you going to do with it? How does a child feel? Is the parent to blame? Is the child to blame? Who is to blame? You can't blame anybody for what's happening really, but we blame. Right? But if we understand everything that is happening has a reason. I don't understand the reason. And so what is the way to resolve any problem? You should try to understand the reason. But can you understand all the reasons? No. But you can understand one thing. There is a reason. There is a reason. And what is that reason? All knowledge, Ishvara, is the reason. That all knowledge is important. What do I mean by all knowledge? Anywhere you see any knowledge, that knowledge is Ishvara. Anywhere you see any knowledge. You look at whatever knowledge you have. How did you gain any knowledge you have? Suppose you know the English language now. How did you gain it? Did you have it when you were born? Where did you gain it from? From your parents, from your school, from society around you. Did they have the knowledge when they were born? Where did they gain it from? You keep going back. Finally, where will you go? No, the first fellow, first human being decided how to form the words. The capacity to form those words, the capacity to communicate, where did it come from? That capacity is given. Right? The ability to pronounce sounds is given. The ability to hear a word and that word will have meaning is given. See, the word and meaning are so intricately and intimately connected. You cannot break that link. If I say monkey, did a monkey come to your mind or not? Can you prevent it from coming? It will come. Vagarthaviva sampriktau. Vagartha. Vak is speech. Artha is meaning. How are they connected? The example of Kalidasa is, Vagarthaviva sampriktau Vagarthav pratipattaye Jagatav pitarau vande Parvati parameshwarau. Parameshwara, Ishvara, we're talking about. What is Parvati, you think? Prakriti. All that changes. See, when you see the changing world, you should know there is an unchanging, can't call it a substratum, because substratum will give you a sense of solidity. There is an unchanging presence. I'll just put it that way. Without the unchanging, change cannot happen. You cannot recognize change without unchanging. So, the whole has to, you see everything is changing. Jagat, you know what the word Jagat means? That which is moving. Gacchati, gacchati, gacchati iti Jagat. That which is moving is called the world. But that movement implies you see a non-moving. So this movement is within a non-moving. So that connection between the moving and non-moving is impossible to break. The moving has to be there along with the non-moving for you to recognize even movement. Like a word and its meaning, the world, not word now, the world and its cause, unchanging cause, is connected. So the knowledge, any knowledge you pick up is picked up from what already is. But, so you know this flower. Let's say the first time this flower is blooming. Okay, nobody has seen it so far. You saw it first. You gained the knowledge of the flower. But for this flower to bloom, who made this flower the form the way it is? Who put the knowledge in the plant to make this the way it is? That knowledge has to belong somewhere. Therefore, you recognize all knowledge has no exception. Any knowledge you see anywhere came from one source. That is called Ishvara. And therefore, you cannot say there is something, there's a mistake there, there is some error there. Why? Because the error is based on your understanding of what you see. But if you looked at a total, the Ishvara's manifest in a total, there is nothing out of place because everything is the way he or she has designed it. To understand Ishvara, you look at a modern day software. Half the time nowadays you don't talk to people. You will interact with the system. You want to book your ticket to go back from here. What do? You go, whatever, travel.com or someplace you will go, right? Makemytrip.com. Huh? So you go there. What do you do then? Every keystroke you put, you get a response or not. If there is no response for a keystroke, that is also part of the software. And whatever response you get is part of the software. Whether you can make a payment by debit card, credit card, or whether you can make payment only with certain debit cards. Can I use American Express? No, you can't. Why? Software wala did not allow you to use American Express. That's all. So, every response in the software is coming from where? The knowledge of the person who wrote that software. Ishvara is like that. Every possibility is already included. That's the softness of it. All possibilities are included, but within that you have a range of possibilities. You can book your ticket by train or by air. Both are allowed. And within air you can decide to go by one airline or another. That freedom you have. You have a lot of freedom. But hey, whatever freedom you have, the response that comes to you for your action is already wired. Isn't it? If you booked your ticket saying, book my ticket to Hyderabad, it won't book your ticket to Chennai. It will book it to Hyderabad. But if you said book it to Chennai, it will send to Chennai. So this is how our free will is, okay? Our freedom is within a certain range. But what is the outcome is never totally in your hand. Even though you put all the data correctly and you said everything and you said, enter, what will happen then? Payment you made, but the system says we didn't receive it. Is that happening or not? It happens. Then what do? You can get upset, but the fact is that's what happened. You didn't want it, but it happens. You don't decide what will happen. The software may even have a bug. Or it may be a what do you call this? Phishing or something. They will have some other site which is pretending to be Make My Trip. When you give the money, it will take it and go. That's also in order. So I'm saying everything has a cause. And Ishvara is the cause of all causes. So even though you don't know a specific cause, if you understand it has to be in order. It has to be. Order means not as you like it. Order means there's a cause, there's an effect. That relationship is inalienable. It is definitely going to be that. If you put a seed, if you put a mango seed, you cannot but get a mango plant. That's called order, okay? If you take some medicine, it will cause certain things to happen in your body. Cause-effect relationship is fixed. So Ishvara is the cause of all causes, and every effect is determined by its cause. When you see that, if you are able to appreciate this, then everything in the world must be as it should be. Must be. So if you don't feel it is as it should be, what should you question? Your understanding of what you think it should be. You think it should be like this. It's not, but there is a reason for it. And as I said, if you can understand the reason, your anger, your resentment all goes. Here, what do you understand? You don't see the exact reason, but you can still appreciate what there is a reason. This confidence you must have. There is a reason, whether I understand or not. And if I keep that reason in view, then there is no reason why I should resist what is. So it's not just something called Ishvara sitting. See, if you hear the word God, what occurs in your mind? Don't think, okay? When you hear the word God, what occurs in your mind? Someone up above. So that's the orientation. Somehow the word God has gone into the head with an idea, you know what? He sits above. Because you heard God in heaven. Right? You heard this. And this disease has, over years, has caught on with the Indian culture too. I don't think it was there before. It couldn't have been before. Because our culture is everything is Bhagavan. So you put a rangoli, you know, that in front of your door. Why? That rangoli is supposed to be not some, you know, granite powder or chalk piece. It is supposed to be rice. Why should you put it? Because that's way of you're feeding the bhutas, the other beings. So you recognize Ishvara in the ant also. You recognize Ishvara in the crow also. You know, when you make your rotis at home, today it's changing. But the first bread is given to the crow. You don't eat it. Why should you give it to the crow? You imagine now, calculate. Every day one bread, one piece of bread. Every day for whole lifetime. How much bread? What a waste. No, it's not a waste. It's given to Bhagavan. I'm saying the recognition that everything is Ishvara. You know, you see a book. Suppose you touch your book with your feet by mistake. What do you do? What do you do this for? What does it mean? You're asking the pardon. Why do you ask pardon from this piece of paper? It doesn't even have consciousness. It's insentient piece of paper. What do you see there? You see Saraswati there. It's knowledge. The attitude is that you put your foot by mistake on a coin. What do? You seek pardon. Why? That is Lakshmi. Wealth is also God. For us, everything is God. Even to talk of God, we want God to bless us with proper understanding. So what do we start with? Sahana Bhavatu. What does Sahana Bhavatu mean? Somebody will say Sahana means patience. No. Sa ha nau avatu. May He definitely protect me, protect us. Why should He protect you? Because there can be many slips between the cup and the lip. You are sitting in the class all right, but your mind is outside. Because yesterday your chappal went missing. So you're worried, today I've got a new chappal. Yesterday was a worn out one, it went away. What will happen to the new one today? You're worried. Every few minutes you have to think. Is it there? Meanwhile, you miss something in the class. Anything can happen, you know. I'm just saying it doesn't take much for an obstacle to come your way. So we recognize that obstacles can be centered on your own mind, your own thinking, your own body. Physically you're unwell. What can you do? You may not be able to come. You're okay physically, but you came to Rishikesh thinking March is okay. It's not going to be cold. And then what do you find? It's very, very cold. Now you want to come to the meditation in the morning, but it's too cold for you. What are you going to do? You will stay home. Tomorrow let us go to meditation. Fair enough? Obstacle. It's not that you want to miss a class, but it happens. It's not in your hand. Did you create an obstacle? No, it's there. You got everything in place all right, but it's pouring. Even with your umbrella, you will come wet. What are you going to do? You will stay behind, likelihood. That's also an obstacle. So we say that obstacles centered on your own body, mind. There's obstacles centered on things around you which you may be able to address perhaps. And there could be obstacles which no human being around can do anything about, because it's God-given. Everything is God-given. Not to think that some things are God-given, some are not. But in some you have an ability to respond and change things. In some you don't. So these are the three kinds of things which can prevent any action happening successfully as you want it to be. Therefore we say Shantihi, Shantihi, Shantihi 3 times. In what activity? In an activity where we want to understand Ishvara. To understand Ishvara also you need Ishvara's grace. Any puja what do you begin with? First thing, Ganesha. See, even if you do Ganesh Chaturthi, Vinayaka Chaturthi is a big event. You have Ganesha Puja. Who is the main Devata worshipped? Ganesha. Before you worship Ganesha, what do you worship? Ganesha. That's a very interesting thing I find. Ganesha means, you know what? You're looking at Ishvara as a remover of obstacles. That's the programming, okay? When you hear Ganesha, you immediately think obstacle gone. But if you think of Rama, you won't think obstacle gone necessarily. You can, there is nothing wrong with that. But the way it is done is, one name, see, every name is Ishvara's name. Everything is Ishvara, means every name is Ishvara's name. You have Vishnu Sahasranama. What does it mean? 1,000 names. Why do you need 1,000 names? Not 1,000. 1,000 stands for infinite. Because every name and every form is Ishvara. So you have to understand Ishvara not from the perspective of one who is up there. You don't even know what he looks like. For somebody else, that's one person said. If you hear God, what do you think of? Each of you would, some idea would come to you. The word is not unknown to you. What comes to your head? For somebody, Hanuman will come. Hanuman means Hanuman form will come. For somebody, some cow may come. I don't know, right? Whatever you think. But now what has happened? The word God has become one more object. It's become one more object. God is no longer God. You hear all this, but the fundamental thinking of God hasn't changed. That's why something comes to your mind. So that word has to yield to its meaning. The word has to yield to its meaning. When you hear a word, it should reveal what it really means to you. If only one form comes, if you hear the word gold, what comes to your mind? I want you to look. You shouldn't take too much time, okay? What comes to your mind? Gold. Huh? Jewelry. Jewelry. See, but interesting. Jewelry. Anybody else? What comes to your mind? Value. Good. Anything else that comes to your mind? Shining. Okay. But what I'm saying is, see, interestingly, all your definitions will work here. Shining? Yes. Value? Yes. Jewelry? Yes. Correct? But I say clay, what comes to your mind? Pot? No, no, I'm sure it doesn't. Who is saying that? This is very made up response. Not in Vedanta class, okay? A lump. See the difference. When you hear gold, why don't you get a lump in your mind? When you hear gold, you don't get a lump. Do you get a lump? Maybe you'll get a coin or a brick, but not a lump. Correct? But when you hear clay, you get lump. See how the mind works. Clay is not a lump. This is clay. But when you have value in gold, somebody said value. So gold is not associated with a form. Gold is value. Same way, God is not one form. What is God? What is Ishvara. Everything is included in Ishvara. How are you going to get that understanding when you hear the word God? The word should go, its meaning, that's what happens, right? If I say, bring me a cup of water, you will bring me water, right? You understand exactly what it means. So, communication only works when every word can communicate what it means clearly to us. So now, in this context, the word God, we had some notions based on our background, and now the Shruti, the Veda is teaching us what? Everything is God. Sarvam khalu idam Brahma. And it tells you, Isha vasyam idam sarvam. You should cover everything with the understanding of Ishvara. You should see Ishvara in everything. So somebody told me, yes, Swamiji, I do that. How do you do it? Swamiji, wherever I see something, I imagine Krishna. This is an addition, okay? Because when she hears God, she thinks Krishna. Therefore, how do you see Ishvara everywhere? Pot, put one Krishna there. Flower, put one. You add one every time. Okay? This is a very interesting exercise. But the person says, Swami, whenever you say, I see now. I was surprised. How do you see? This is what the person had to tell me. I see Krishna everywhere. That is not what we are talking about. It is not pot plus Krishna, okay? It is not flower plus Krishna. We are saying flower is Krishna. Pot is Krishna. That is very different. Very different. So how do you bring about, how do you cover the word all? Ishvara is everything. How do you cover that word everything? So here, this is, the Shastra does it in its own way. Okay? It will say whatever is inside, whatever is outside is Ishvara. Antarbahishchayat sarvam vyapya narayana sthitaha. Right? But it's not very easy to see. It will tell you Hiranyagarbha, Virat. You know, Virat. What is Virat? Virat is Ishvara as seen as the whole Jagat, Sthula Prapancha. So how do you look at it? Sahasra Shirsha Purushaha. He's got infinite heads. Sahasrakshaha. Sahasra means 1000 is a number, but stands for limitless. So now what? Eyes. Have you seen picture of, Vishwarupa? How does it look like? They will show one fellow with so many heads. It looks like Ravana to me sometimes. The imagination is what? Sahasra Shirsha means 1000 heads. It's not that. Every head is Ishvara's head. Every head is Ishvara, not Ishvara's head. Every head is Ishvara. But if you try to visualize like that, what do you get? Okay, several heads, several eyes. several feet, several hands. You tell me, what's your picture of God now? What picture do you get? How will you get that picture when you see this flower? This flower will replace that picture. Right? But now I ask you, if you are playing a role in a play, any actor is playing a role in a movie or a play. They are playing a role. The role could be, some role he has, like he's a commando in that movie. He's fighting, doing something. All the time he's playing the role, does he ever lose sight of himself? He does 100 things. Does he ever lose sight of himself? Any actor? If he does, he is gone. So, if he plays a beggar, he doesn't become a beggar. If he plays the king, he doesn't become a king. If he plays 4 roles, he doesn't become 4 of them. What is his understanding all the way? He knows who he is in the ordinary way, and he also knows this is only a role. Does he have to remember that? Does he remember every time? I'm the actor, I'm the actor. Does he remember that? But does he know or not? Inherently he knows or not. If everything is Ishvara, that Ishvara should be the background knowledge. It's not an active thinking every time. It's the background knowledge. You don't miss Ishvara when you have any perception. Because the perceiver, the perceived, the perception, the means of perception, everything is knowledge of Ishvara. But still, how to see it? So this is where Pujya Swamiji says, look at Ishvara as one mega order or Maha order. No, it's order means, as I said, there is a clear cause-effect correlation which works, which is always true. Now, one order means what? To understand it. This is how even the world is organized right now. You have so many disciplines of knowledge, right? So you have physics, you have chemistry, you have biology, you have, within physics you will have nuclear physics, you have quantum physics, you have classical physics, you have mathematics. Then in mathematics you will have what? Algebra and trigonometry and geometry and calculus and differential calculus, integral calculus. You keep going all the way. So much variety. Now, each of these disciplines is revealing something. It's revealing something which is. What is Ishvara? So now, every one of the study, if you are studying physics, you are studying Ishvara. If you are studying chemistry, you are trying to know Ishvara. Any field of knowledge you look at is really trying to unearth something, and that unearthing is knowing more and more about Ishvara. If you go to biology, you will see leaf first, then you will go further into the leaf, then you will go into its, its mitochondria, whatever you want to see. Everything has to be covered, right? So Swamiji would say, look at this way. You consider this whole thing as a few important orders. What's important orders? Physical order. What physical order mean? You have a physical world, which everything in the physical world is governed by the same laws. In sometime when you were children, somebody would ask, suppose you drop a pot or a block of iron, and you drop a flower, which will come down faster, assuming no wind, etc. Which will come down faster? Iron block or a flower? Both are just dropped. No wind. Iron block. Why? Because of weight. What is weight? What is weight? Gravity. So what is gravity for flower? 9.8 meters per second square. What is the gravity for big block of iron? The same. So are they governed by two different laws? Same law. You understand? What should they come at? Both should come at the same time. But you foolishly answer what? Iron will come first and you'll get 0 for your exam. That's what would happen in school. You know, these are all trick questions they would ask. But the point is this, that every physical object is governed by the same laws of physics, including this body. Including this body. Right? So this body, if you drop it, it will also drop exactly like a stone. Nothing different, so to say, unless your life is struggle, etc. But the point is, what is true of a physical object is true of the physical body. What is true of the chemistry outside, in the lab what you see, is also true of the body chemistry. You will check what's the pH of your blood. What is this pH business? Acidic or alkaline or what is it? Same way it works. Whether you are plumbing your tap or you are plumbing a blockage here, same plumbing, is it not? What's the difference? Blood vessels are also pipes and you have a pump, right? So when it's blocked, what should you do? You have to clear the blockage. If not, what should you do? You put a bypass, right? So Swamiji would always say, cardiologist is what? I mean, the fellow who does this, a glorified plumber, okay? No disrespect to the cardiologist. It's much more skilled. But what I'm saying, the fundamentals are the same. Fluid mechanics, I'm sure they must be studying. Because they must understand how the pressure works. Blood pressure is not easy to manage. So you have to know how it works. But what are the laws that manage the pressure in this circulation system and in your tank, in your pipe? Same. What's different? So you can see the same laws govern this physical body exactly as everything else. So the law is the same. So if this body weighs more, because the mass is more, that's how it is. Right? This is one order, physical order. Right? Then you have the law of life itself. Call it a biological order. Bio means life. So biological order. Within biological order, you can split it further. There's a physiological order. How the body physiology works. Not only in human being, in any animal. So how does one become a doctor? Where does it start with? Where do you start in class 9 or 10? One earthworm, one cockroach, one frog, one rat, maybe a rabbit. You dissect it. And what do you see? Whatever you see there is true also here. There is also an alimentary canal, here also there is an alimentary canal. Right? There is a brain, there is a brain. You see all this? Same. Eyes here see. Eyes in a deer also see. Eyes in a lion also see. Eyes in an owl also see. Sees differently. Cones and rods may be different. Color may be seen, may not be seen. But eyes are same. Every eye sees light alone. Hearing, wherever it is there, it's the same. Physiological order. Right? It's the same. Means there is no speciality. It all works that way. Now you look at one more order, which is psychological order. Which is how your thinking works, how your mind works. There is animal psychology also. There is human psychology also. Within human psychology, you have an individual psychology. And you also have mob psychology. Dealing with a mob is not the same as dealing with an individual. Dealing with one person is different than dealing with a crowd. Crowd management people better know mob psychology. If you're managing a Mahakumbh, people died. What happened? Or in Delhi, when that accident happens. What happens in a crowd? Sheep follows sheep, that's all. It's all crowd mentality, sheep mentality. Why is it so? That's how it is. Why does the crowd behave differently from, why does the person in a crowd behave differently from himself as an individual? That's order. That's how it is. And how do you know the order? Through a science called psychology, you study and you come to the conclusion, if this is the background, this is the behavior. The background behavior correlation is recognized by you in psychology, which means you accept. Science shows you there is a connection between background behavior. Each individual is distinct. No two individuals are alike. Yet, given a similar background, the behavior is likely to be, very likely to be similar, because small differences will be there. A person who has had a very tough parent, a disciplinarian, who doesn't like the discipline as a child, normally does not like to relate with God. This is behavior. This connection is there. So if somebody has a problem relating to Ishvara, check. They likely have a problem with their father or their mother. This is how it is. Because father is controlling figure. God is for him super controller. God is not just order. God is not just laws. God is a controller. That's how he looks upon God. I didn't like that. I don't want God. This is behavior. You can't avoid it. This is called order. It's not avoidable. If you have a certain background, the behavior is going to be determined by the background. Psychological order. Then we talk of an order of karma, not available for physical sciences of any kind. Given a certain karma you have done, it will result in certain situations in your life. So, the order of karma in the Veda is presented. It says what? A person who has done a lot of reaching out, good karma, is going to be born as a devata. He will go to higher lokas, better spheres of experience. A person who has done, normal karma will come back as a human being. And a person who has done a lot of hurtful karma, because you abused your free will, you will not be given enough free will to abuse anymore. So you will be born as a tree which cannot exercise free will. It will experience, but it cannot have much free will. An animal doesn't have much free will. No animal thinks, which movie should we go to? Or should we go for a self-growth class? No animal does that, right? It doesn't even have a choice of thinking. Should we go to eat this food or that food? Chinese or Thai? It doesn't have to do it. It's the human being's prerogative. That program means what? You don't have free will. So some people think it's better to be a plant or an animal. Some people feel that way. But the fact is, from the Vedic perspective, a life where you have no free will is less in value. Because when you have the freedom, it's freedom to do, freedom to not do, and freedom to finally recognize you're totally free. This is karmic order, which means every situation in life depends on karma. Karma determines what situations one finds oneself in, and not just your karma. For you to be in a given situation, the equation is what you feel, what you go through, what your parents go through, what whole society around you goes through. So if a person is autistic child, whose karma is it? Does the autistic child suffer? Perhaps not. But who suffers? The parents suffer. Anybody who sees that child gets that empathy, that pain. Who suffers? So somebody was apparently asked Chinmayananji, Why this autistic child? So that your karma phala is fulfilled. You have to suffer, It has to happen. So karma phala means all situations are covered. So these are important orders, A physical order, a biological order, a physiological order, psychological order, an order of karma. Order means what? You don't have any say. There are laws. And everything is governed by laws. And now what do you see Ishvara as? You see Ishvara as the law. Law means knowledge, okay? Law is nothing but knowledge. So if you say gravity, law of gravity means what? Whenever there's an object on earth, it will get pulled down. Gravity is really between any two cells even. But you just look at it as what we do. Then I'm saying, it's not going to play partial, whether it's flour or iron. It treats it equally. It's nothing about you being a victim of some situation. Everything is the same. And what you did or what you do will govern what you get. This is why we say, you have the privilege to act, the privilege to respond. You do not have the capacity to determine the outcome, because the outcome is determined by the laws. And that law, in that form, we call him Ishvara. So Ishvara is karma phala data. So some people think, see, the way to look at this sometimes is, so now I can say, what is your goal in life? One can say, I want that total growth. Another way to say it is, my goal is Ishvara. There is another way of saying it. My goal is Ishvara. What is the goal? Now, some people say Ishvara means what? His karma phala data, giver of the results of action. Therefore, prayer is an action. Any action you do gives result, depending on attitude, depending on how you do, what you do, everything is included. Therefore, I look upon Ishvara as problem solver. When I am in pain, I will say, Bhagavan, what do I expect? Relieve some pain. That's all I want. So you will only remember Bhagavan when you are in trouble. It is called Artha. Every day if you, I don't see many of you in a temple, but if you go to the temple, we have one Gangadhara Stotra. In the end, they will say, Artha Trana Parayanasa Bhagavan Gangadharo Me Gatihi. What does it mean? Artha Trana Parayana. Parayana means one who has only one goal. What is it? Artha Trana. Artha means one who is distressed, one who is in trouble. Trana is protection. Traying palane. Dhatu. So you want to, what is his job? One who is distressed, who says, help me, he'll help him. How much will he help? Depends on how hard you ask for and what you ask for. So this is one way of looking at Ishvara, not a complete way. He is the one who removes my distress. So if you keep doing this and you somehow recognize that distress is indeed removed by prayer, if you recognize, now you won't give up Ishvara so easily. Because there is some fellow there, whether I see him or not, there is some force which acts. Now you make, if you are a little wiser, you make one step more. Why should I wait for trouble to get me? Why don't I pray before trouble gets me? So, Artharthi, whenever I want to gain something, I remember Bhagavan. I pray. It's a karma. Prayer is a karma. It's not a technique. It's a karma. You pray. Then what happens? Whatever ends you're looking for, it's likely to come your way. This is Artharthi. Then you become curious. Who is this fellow who is not seen around but delivers the goods now and then? You want to know. Where is the golden egg-laying goose? Right? Then you become what we call a jigyasu. One who wants to know Bhagavan. And if you understand Bhagavan, that is called Jnani. Jnani tu atmaiva me matam. And Bhagavan says, hey, Jnani is not separate from me. You cannot know Bhagavan as Bhagavan is there and I am here. You cannot know Bhagavan that way. If you know that way, it's yet partial knowledge. I'm not saying it's not knowledge. It's partial. Because everything is Bhagavan. So if you said this Shivalinga is Bhagavan, you're right. But Shivalinga alone is Bhagavan, you're wrong. It's not limited. You have to expand the understanding of Bhagavan to include everything. So that person knows, becomes Jnani. So now instead of saying you're a seeker after moksha, I can say you're a seeker after Ishvara. I'm just saying the language changes a little. But the same thing is being talked about. Because religiously when we talk about, you will present Bhagavan as the goal. You talk about it from a knowledge perspective, you will say freedom is the goal. Same thing, said differently. So we'll come back to it. We'll meet again. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.